now. So um, let me share my screen. We will start coding very soon. So don't bother about coding for now because you only code what you know. You understand? When you understand, as you're coding, you know why you're coding it. Mm-hmm. Where to code and I will code on. I don't like. All right, we have to move on. Like I say, thank you everyone for your, your kind gesture and for that robust participation in our last page. So today we're going to be talking about database design. How many people have registered on that SQL drag box? How many have registered? How many have registered? How many have registered? I need to know how many that have registered, please. Can anybody hear me? I'm just talking to myself. Okay. Um, you are aware about the we have started backend. Don't allow your solo project to wear you down. I'm trying to log in with this. I don't know why it's not logging. We have started backend. And I repeat, we have started backend. Don't allow your solo projects to wear you down. Are you getting me? Don't allow your solo project to wear you down. Um, you started backend already. So, and we started building projects. By today class, we'll have a lot of projects to present to the glory of God. Okay, let me quickly share my screen. Okay, and I want to also lay emphasis rather, for most of you who think that we are joking, or we are not joking. Yeah, we are here for serious business, and so everybody should have that in mind. And regarding the certificate, today is 12, and most people have not started paying. I know that, that thing is not even money. The reason I say it's not money is because 15,000 naira and 7.5 is not a big money to have a certificate as a tech person. I don't see it as a big money. I know it's big, but not too big for most of us here. And it's not big, frankly speaking. We spend like 6 months here. Here in my office, River State University, I charge 800,000 for training for 6 months, software engineering. So certificate is 80,000. That's why I charge. But this is just 15,000. Some people they're not even paid. So let's try and pay for the certificate. With people that have paid, we started designing. Uh, the design is almost ready for the hard copy. For the soft copy, you can have it there. So immediately we do all the documentation, then we send it across to all those who want the hard copy. We have just a few weeks to comply. I think I've given everybody a very longer time to comply. But those who may not have the money at the moment to reach out to that cohort, then say they are going to pay so that we can process the certificate. The thing is that the next 1 month, if you have not paid the certificate, you will not see any option to join class. That's the truth. You will not see any option to join class. Maybe don't feel that I'm a bad person. I want to be a bad person because people like Tinubu are bad. They are making hard to see our supporters. If you like the devil, we will see support. Of course, people like even though I'm bad, people like can still, of course, can still support me. I know people that can support me here. People like Christopher that is sharing his screen. Yeah, see your face. You want me to see your face? Christopher can support me. That's all right. So let's try and pay off the certification payment. The portal is ready as I'm talking to you. The onboarding will start as soon as possible so that you will not be left out. You will not be left out. It is not compulsory to have certificate, but it's compulsory to have it to move to the back end. If you are not moving to the back end, there is no need. If you feel that, okay, I don't need certificate. I don't think you will not say you don't need certificate because any company that will employ you must say, okay, where? Which school do you go to? If you like have computer science certificate, have software engineering, let's see the skills that you have. Going to school does not require that does not require that you have a skill. So it is very important. It is very, very important. It affected me then because I have no certificate for the skill that I proved that I said that okay, that I know how to do. Let's see certificate. Who train you? Where did you do? It's very important. So by by the ending of this month, you may not be allowed to join the class if you are moving to front from back end rather. So I believe all of us will move, and I don't want us to lose anybody again on this. So moving ahead, if you have not done that, do that as soon as possible. Let's move ahead. So we're going to be talking about database, database. You know, every pieces of information that is out there on the cloud, that is in your computer, right? Um, are stored somewhere. Those Google search, those articles you read online, those articles you read on Google, the pictures, the videos, those things are stored in the database. Those are datas. Those are what? They are datas. So all the information that you have out there on the cloud, they are datas. They are datas. So we first know what is data and how it is connected to database. So the database are more or less the uh, data are more or less the raw information that had not been filtered. Are you getting me? There are raw information that have not been filtered. A car can be a data. A house can be a data. A phone can be data. But how the computer or how the server accumulates this information. If you recall when we are learning the front end, when we started our introduction to HTML, I told you that every information stored in a computer must have a what? A type. Must have a type. So before you store any information in a database, it must have a type. A type of the data. What are the types of the data? So the type of the data depends on uh, the information you are feeding the server. And with the data, with those information, it can handle those, treat those data differently from others. The way the server treats, the way the server treats other data types is not the same way it treats to, let's say for instance, we have a data type of password. The way the server store those data is different from the way it store your normal comments and your normal videos. Your comments, your videos, your charts, those data are all stored in the database. So we are going to be looking at the communication. Then how to access these data, the types of these data, and how these data work on this behind the scene. What is data? Which I've seen they are raw what information. So let's move ahead on database. What is database? Of course, database is an organized, the word organized. So when I mean organized, they are organized data, right? It's well organized. So they are collection of organized what data. They are collection of organized data, generally stored and accessed electronically from what the computer system. You are aware that databases are used to store information. All the information you are making use of today are stored in the data. In today's digital world, I will say this: data have become more valuable, very, very valuable. Before now, people don't even value data, but now it has become an asset. In fact, they have become the oil of our time. Because when people have access to data, they can do whatever they want to do with those data. To smoothly run a company, to smoothly manage a company efficiently, you must leverage on data storage or data storage. So we have different types of database, which we are going to be looking at tonight, and how the database work as well. So here, what is database? Like I told you earlier, a name of a person can be database, money, cow can be data, anything you can think of first can be data. Then a base where these data are stored. It means data word base, information base, just like when you have your house. Your password, your charts, your pictures are stored in a base, right? In it's somewhere in the cloud, which we are going to be looking at when we discuss about that types of data. So data in the context of database. So when I'm selling data, is what in the context of what of database. Whatever I'm explaining, any definition I am bringing now is tailored at database. It can mean different definition, or you can have different definition, but for the scope of this course, so what definition I'm going to be defining tonight will base on the database. Now, in the context of database is referred to like data are referred as what all single item, a single item that are stored in the database. Let's say we have let's say we have a database. So let's call this a database. Sorry. So let's call this a database. Um, Now in this database, we have different single, tiny data. It can be your full name. So in your full name, let's say your full name is Olisa. So we have O is a data. L is a data. I is a data. X is a data, and so on and so forth. Those are data. That's why I say refer to like all single items that are stored in the database. So your first name, your alphabet, they are all what data. Now, either individually or as a set. So those data are stored in database either what individually or as a set. Data in a database is primarily stored in a database table. Those data in database, they are stored what in the database table. Now we'll be looking about the database table when we commence our practical, which is database design, where we're going to be designing some application, right? So all the information, let's say registration, for instance, must have a unique database table for it. So we have registration. We don't have it this way. Let's just have it like that. I don't want to bother myself. Let's just say the registration. So this is E. So the registration is like a database table. So in that registration, it has other what? Other field. Are we communicating? The registration is like what? A database table. So in that registration, we have what? Other field attached on that registration, like um information like full name, phone numbers, and so on and so forth. Then, like I said, the data in the database is primarily stored in database table, which are organized into columns that dictate the data type and store them. So if you remember what I said earlier, we have different ways how the server treats each data based on their data type. And the database, data are stored in the database table. And I use registration table, for instance, as example, where a software engineer want to collect a data of a registered, or a data where user can input that information and got registered. So see it like the way you have your normal plain form where people can use for registration. So we have the form here that have the name, excuse me. You have the form here that has the, let me delete more of this. So get another one, oh, delete, grab this, delete. Okay, let's grab this. All right. So let's say you have your, sorry about that. Trying to get perfect. All right. Okay, let's say you have your information here, your name, like the way you have your phone, name can be address, it can be phone number, it can be emails, it can be gender. So this a box is called a column. So in that column, you have different kind of what data on it. Let's say you have a column of a customer, right? A column of a customer, for instance. In a column of a customer, we have a database of a customer, we have a column, right? A column title what? A table title customer. And that table, the table will have what? A column. So what will be on that column is what we call the full name, the phone numbers, and each of them is defined with their data type. Phone number can be defined as what? As a number, a type of what? Of a number, or a type of a numeric value. This will help the DSM handle that data efficiently. A database is an organized collection of data. Like I told you earlier about data, I use instances like Odisa, where you have O, you have L, you have S, you have E. Those are data. So they are single items, they are single values. While database are what? Collection. But it has to be very organized with what? Tables. You must organize them with what? With tables and columns. So the table help you to organize the database based on section by section. Let's say you are building a customer management app, or maybe you are building a let's say a let's say a software that's let's say project management software, for instance, and you want to collect a data of a staff, right? The data of the staff, salary reports, and kineko, So it's a very organized, structured data. So it organized those data, structured those data, and then store these data in the computer system or in the server using a method we call DBM, which stands for Database Management System. So Database Management System, it's a system that have been built to manage data, to collect information from the user, and then send it to the server. So you can't just access the database without going through the DBM process. I explained earlier, table, column. So all organized database must have a column. So move to the next. Now, when you look at this picture, you will notice that we have a process on how the database function behind the scene through a software called DBM. So these DBM are different softwares. So we're going to be looking at different types of software, which we call database languages. Like I mentioned, like Postgres, I mentioned MySQL, I mentioned Amazon ASW. So did I say Amazon ASW? No, that's not a database. All right. So we have Postgres, MongoDB. I get to me, MongoDB, and so on and so forth. So when you look at this diagram here, you notice that we have a database, right? And then we have an API, and then we have API, or then we have an app, right? Then we have the user. So what is really happening here is that the user send request to an API. So API is just like your back-end programming language. Let's say you develop an app that collects customer information or customer details. So the customer details, customer will come in and log in. Let me use Facebook as an instance. So you come in to log in on your Facebook portal. When you log in, you are sending a request to the back end, the programming language. It can be an API or anything you can think of. So you send this information. You send this information to the API. So it's not possible to hit the database directly. There are procedures. So someone want to log in, you want to create a post, you send this information, send what we call a post request or a get request. Then after you've sent the information, a get request means that you want to retrieve your information from the database. Or then why post request means that you want to send in information from the database. So you send in information from the database by using a post request. So a get request mostly when you post something, then it display on your wall. Make it display on your wall. That process is called a get request because you are getting those information from the database. Then as a user, you hit the endpoint, the route, which is the link, which has to be can be your form where you can collect those data. Then send those data to the database management application, which is a software. You can use any kind of program, any kind of database management software you want, the one you are conversant with when you are building your project. So in the scope of this course, we are going to be learning three of it: MySQL, Postgres, and SQLite. So the user would put in those information, send it to the software, while the software hit back to the database, then send back information to the DBMS. The DBMS send the information to the API, then the API will not send it to the user. So this thing can happen within a period of 1 second or 2 seconds. So when you put in information, you send. So it is a responsibility of the back-end programming language that can handle those information, that collects those information. Then, based on the logic that have been written with the API, it will receive a feedback. The API send that information to the database management software. Then the database will collect that information and also send a feedback to the DMS. While the DMS will send the feedback to the API, then the API, based on the programming language, can now handle the feedback, either subscription expired, or you are not eligible, or account password incorrect. So the user would then handle this information. So this is actually a very seamless process to achieve the communication between the database management and then the back-end APIs. So don't just hit the database. Now, for you to be able to communicate with the database, you must leverage on a software called what? DMS. So quick stand for, and I like repeating myself because I want us to understand every bit of this class, or every statement that I'm saying, or any sentence that I'm making. I want everybody to understand. That's why I am repeating myself. Then when you send that information to the DMS send the information back. But for you to do this, you must leverage on one of the programming or one of the DMS skills. So let's look at the DMS type of the DMS that we have. So what is DMS? What is what? DMS. Now we are going to be looking at DMS, and then we also look at type of DMS, and then we move into type of database. Now a DMS, as you can see here, stand for database management system. So these are software systems that enable user to create, maintain, and control access to the database. So it serves as an endpoint or intermediary between the end user and the database. So it is a software system that allows user to store, retrieve, and run query on the database. What do you mean run query? It simply means that sending information, filtered information in a database. So it is a software that allows user to store information. So like I told you, when you collect this information, your pictures, your charts, your videos are collected from the application. Then the DMS allow you to store this information. So maybe you register an account and hit submit. This information move to the DMS system, and then the DMS system would now redefine those information and send it to the database to either store or retrieve those information. So it acts as an interface between the end user and the database, which allow user to read, create, update, and delete. So the first thing you need to know as a person who is coming in as a programmer, you must understand how you can build an app. You must understand the CRUD process, which is create, read, delete, and update. Almost everything we do online, almost all the software that you use today, they are leveraging on what? The CRUD operator method. If you go to Facebook, you can either you are creating or you are reading, either you're updating or you are deleting. So creating means, for instance, you want to create a post. I'm not communicating. You want to create a post, you create. That's only what you do in Facebook. There's nothing again. So it's a very simple app. If you can have this logic that building an app all tailored at one principle, which is the CRUD principle. So the CRUD principle, that means create. So if you know how to create an object, you write a software that can create an object, read a software that can read an object, update and delete, then you're a programmer. that is where the foundation starts from. So you create a user. So a user can create an account on Facebook. A user can read when you look at the video that you like, you click on the video to play, you are reading. Update, when you create a post, maybe you made mistake, you want to update the post, you just go to edit, then you update. Immediately you update and hit the database, it will be stored on the database through the DMS principle. And then delete. When you click on delete, you delete an item. So when you are commenting, you are creating. When you are sharing, you are creating. Or updating rather. When you are deleting, you are deleting. So these are seamless process that you need to carry out when you are building your application. So the another thing of data definition in DMS, which are the key functionality of DMS. So it allows the creation, modification, and deletion of database schemas. So the schema simply means the structure of the database. So one of the key definition is that it allows the creation, modification, and deletion of what? Of database schemas. So we're going to be learning more about what database schemas. And these tools are defined based on data type, relationship, and constraints. So when you are storing this data, it will store this data based on relationship. Remember the last time we had quite a very um, disagreement between relationship of database. So for instance, if I'm storing a data of profile, right, of a profile. Now let's do some drawing here. So this is an app, right? Then the database is a database, and the database is storing the uh, the profile. Now, the database is installing profile. So this profile that database is installing, the database must look at what we call relationship. The relationship. The relationship between this database is what? Is the user. So it first consider the relationship between this profile, because every user must have a what? A profile. Why every profile must have a what? A user. So it's just like relationship. It's not possible for someone to have a profile if you are not a user. It is not possible. But it's possible to have a user if you are not what? A profile. That means a profile cannot do without the user, but the user can do without what? The profile. That's why when you create an account in Facebook, they tell you to go and update your profile. So some people may build the app to make it requirements or compulsory for every end user to update their profile immediately they create the application. So, like I'm saying, that I said earlier, it's the database stores those information based on the data type, relationship, and also the constraints. When the database is storing information in the database, it's going to store those information based on the relationship and based on data type. Like I explained earlier, the way the database handle database handle the password type object, and the way it handles the normal name, full name object is different. It's stored in a very unique pattern. Like usually, regular way of storing that password in database is using the hash ecosystem, a very unique technique that we hash the password. Even you, as somebody who is developing the app, cannot see that password. Although there is way we can maneuver and see the password of the user. It's possible, but it all depends on the developer, a programmer who is building that software. They can decide to build that software in a way that you cannot see the person's sensitive information, like bank. So people can, even the people managing your account cannot see the sensitive information like your password. They cannot even edit something. They cannot edit something like account number. like to edit it's not possible. So there are what we call
Hi, Chief. Sorry to interrupt. Mr. Darlington, please mute your video, please.
are we good to go?
Hi, Chief. Go ahead, sir. Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, okay. Now, so the way the handles the tatas are very very um in a very different and a very unique unique way. Oga, Oga, can you reduce that? I'm in the class, please. Or use earpiece. Thank you. So the DMS also store, like I told you earlier, also store and retrieve what data. Now, another thing is that the DMS dot is what we call user access management policy. Now, the user access management policy uh, controls the way data are stored differently from the user permission. The way data of someone who has, um, let's say, a paid uh, premium version of a particular application is not the same way it will store a free user application. So access control to a data by different what different user. Also, it also provides various levels of permission, and it also ensures security scrutiny is carried out. So when storing this data, the DBMS stores this data based on the permission levels. So the permission levels will be coming on the development area, on the development cycle. So one of the things that transaction management. Now the way it's stored this transaction management is also different from the way it handles other transaction management. So let's say, for example, the way you store transaction information like credit card uh, information, amount information, PIN for your transaction, the way you handle it is totally different. So when you are building your software as an engineer, you also learn how to securely store those information so that it cannot be stolen by any hacker or through SQL injection. Then another one we also have is data integrity and security. Now, this data management and integrity security make sure that for the database, they ensure that it carried out accuracy. It maintains data accuracy and consistency. Now, through this policy that is in place, even the person managing that database ecosystem, after you are using database, MySQL, that is programmed, they have a policy. There are some data that it can reveal you to. There are some area you can't go. If you want to go to that, you need to do types of modification on that particular um, that particular system. So that is the DMS, DBMS. Then let's go into the types of DBMS. Now, these are the most popular database management system. You can see we have Oracle database. This is what Nigeria banks are using at the moment. So Nigeria Bank store more of their data in what? Oracle, because it's a bit very secured. But when you are building a financial management application, if you feel like okay, you want to use that, we also have MySQL. So MySQL is one of the most popular. Almost all the company uses it. Facebook, Google, mention a lot of big tech company uses what MySQL. Then we have MongoDB. Then we have Postgres. Then we have MariaDB. We have Microsoft Access. So these are different types of what of database management system. So these are the software you're going to leverage on. You are going to learn this software for you to be able to work with it efficiently in storing data in the database. So now when we look at this diagram, I already explained this earlier on how the front end communicates with the server. So if you look at what we have here, we have web server, we have server application. So in this web server, the client, like I told you, is somebody want to order something in a particular store, online store, and then the person place an order, right? When you place that order, what happens is that the client send this information to the web server. So the web server is your code, right? It's the programming you have programmed. So it send those information to the web server and then move it to a what? The web server application. Who can tell us what is server application? Can anybody try? What is this server application? This seamless process of handling or transmitting information from the front end to the database. So in the middle, we have two robust process: the web server and the server application. Who can try? Who can try? Mr. President?
Hello, my chief.
Nobody. Okay, go ahead.
Server applications are simple APIs. They are the interface between the web and the server.
Okay. Okay. So can you give me an example of the application server? Example. Example.
I don't have any example.
Okay. Any other person? Any other example? Are we communicating? Okay. Now, remember I explained earlier that we have the front end. And in that front end, the user send in a request from the front end to the server, web server. So this web server is your back end of your application, your code, right? Then the web server move the information because the web server cannot communicate to this man directly without using what we call database management system. So this web application is the database. This application server is the database management system. I think I've explained that earlier here. The last diagram. This is it. The last diagram. I explained that when a user send information, he sent to the back end, then he send those information to this what we call the web application server. So this application server, which can be any of these application here. So the back end mechanism will handle that process that sends information to this man. Then this man has moved those information to the main database and then give feedback again to the end user. So this is actually a very robust process on the assessing those database systems. So we um, look at the concept of database system, and then we'll pick up the area that we are going to be focusing majorly. So we have the cloud database, objects oriented database, then relational database. So these are different kind of database that we have. Now the cloud database is more of a Amazon ASW platform like Microsoft Azure. So different kind of a cloud, very cloud database. So, but on this, for the scope of this course, we are going to be looking majorly on the relational database management. So this is the area that we're going to be focusing on. Now, like I told you earlier, if you want to leverage on any of this, you need to learn any of this language. and that is a very hard process. So we need a process that is very seamless that will help us do everything effectively. Now, for us to be able to do that, we don't necessarily need to learn MySQL, database Oracle, MongoJS for us to be able to communicate with the database. Like I told you, the world of technology is highly what evolving, right? Now, what people have done recently is that they create a method called the DROM, right? DROM. So this ROM is not really a database management system, but it's actually a pattern that you can use to communicate to this man directly without knowing this language. So all the information, the database handling will be handled on the web server stage, which we call model, right? So that model would then send information even without you knowing whatever that happened here. So the model handles the query. Like if you, let me guys show you guys something. Let me turn on my database. You can see my screen, right? My full screen, but you can see just the particular screen. Confirm if you can see my full screen.
I don't understand anything.
Yeah.
We can't just the particular screen, so not your entire screen.
Okay. All right. Let me share that. Okay. So where are we? Where are we? Can someone remind me what I said last, please? Yeah.
You want to show us your database?
Okay. Now, for something lead to that, something lead to that. All right. So okay, let's move on. So like okay, yeah. I think I remembered now. I remembered now. So like I was saying, for you to communicate to this man, you must know at least any of these programming language. Remember what I told you? Yeah, front end send message to the database, then move it to there, then move it to there. So for you to be able to carry out this process, it's required that you know most of these languages. But there is a method called ORM, which is object related mapping. So this object related mapping, what it does is that it is a very seamless process to quickly communicate to the database even without knowing these programs, right? So like I said, let me show you a quick view of my database. So first, what I need to do is that I'm using MySQL. So MySQL runs under a program called Apache. So Apache is like a server that powers the MySQL system. So for you to be able to run a MySQL application, like I told you, I'm using MySQL. So for you to be able to run successful MySQL application, you need to download what we call XAMPP. So everybody should download this XAMPP. You can quickly come here and call it XAMPP. So you can see it's an open source platform used in for server HTTP server request. So it's also a database platform. So you can come here and download this. So this also helps us in designing and creating our database. So this database can only be in two classes. After the next class, I'm done with database. We move to other thing as well. So here after I've turned this up, I'll come here and write localhost. Um, I don't need internet to access this dashboard. Everything here is stored on my system. So this environment is what we call the PHP MyAdmin, where you can handle all types of database. Let's just say um, I have this. So these are what we call tables. Remember earlier I told you that the database is organized collection of what? Of data. And all the information that are stored on database are organized using the word, the table, right? Let's go to the area where we have the username or the registration. Let me grab that. All right, so we have this here, user authentication. So when I click on that user authentication, you notice that that user authentication, we have some columns, right? You can see different columns that we have. So we have here the super, is super admin. We have the username, we have the first name, we have the last name. So these are the information that are required on this user. So let's just call this a user registration table. So if we are given a project to create um, a particular database, so remember that a table um, specify the the details about that database. Just say, for instance, you want to create a customer monthly report model, right? So a table name will be customer monthly report. Then it will have what we call the columns, which are the field. So each of these columns have a provision where the username, where the user can add all this information. So you can see the time this person joined, and you can see the way it handles those information. If we say, okay, let's start building the database, the truth is that when I go here, this is a different programming language on its own. It will take like the next 6 months to understand all these things. But due to we are leveraging on the ORM, we don't necessarily need to understand everything that has to do with the database. Let's say if we are learning database, and let's say I want to send a query to get this username, right? To get the username, all I need to do is to move into a very robust process. So this very hard process rather. So in this process, I have here my ID, right? Which are the table. So we have a table of a user, right? A table of what? Of a user. So in this table of a user, you can come to type here. Remember what I told you earlier? I said that each database have the type, right? The type of that database. Now the type of that database depends on how the database management system can handle that efficiently. Then we have the password. Then we have the last login, which is date. So you can see the data type of this man is what? Is date. Is super admin, which is tiny neat, which is call more of a boolean, false or true. Then we have the username, which is var chat. Then we have the first name, we have the last name, we have the email, we have his staff, is active, date join. You can see different types of the database that we have, database table that we have. Now, this is the database table. So any user that is using our software that needs to sign up on the platform must fill this form. Then we use the programming backend language like Python, any of the programming language, to handle how these data are stored and are communicated. Now, what we usually do is that if we want to create a database, for instance, outside having this ORM that we are leveraging on, if you want to create a database, let me say I want to create a database of employee. Are you getting me? I want to create a database of employee. So what I need to do is to come here and click on database. So like I said, every database must have a kind of a database table. So you write the database name, not the table, but this is the name of the database. It is why I'm doing this in case I want to connect this database to any other third-party application, then I can connect it with the name, using the name or the username. So here I have let's say employee. Hold on. Okay. So as I was saying, so we need a table, right? A table of employee. To write a table of employee. So in that employee, um, employee, employees. All right. So then we create. So immediately you create, you come down here, you will see the database of a table of employee. So when you click on it, they say no table found in database. That means you need to add a table, right? So we create a table. The table we are going to add, we can give it employee underscore name, right? So then how many column do we need? So in that employee, I feel that employee will have an employee ID, an employee name, and the qualification, and let's just say, okay, we have just 4 or 5 of these, and then we come here. So in this place, we have, please don't bother about this. I'm just doing this to explain to you. Are you getting me? So when we go into programming process, you see how to do this from crash, from top to bottom. So, but I'm just doing this to give you an overview. So here I can say ID, the ID of that employee. So, so you can see different kind of data type. So like I told you, different kind of what of data type. So look at boom, 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 boom. ID should be blah blah int. So that's what we have here. Then look at null. If you want it to be null, you can use it. So we can use different assignment on that. Then we have full name, full name. Then we can use chat feed or var or any of this thing that is available. So we stream, you can see for stream, you use this, right? Or for number, we use Tinitic. So Tinitic is a number or integer, right? Can use any of this data type. So you can see the number, we have integers in it, right? And so on and so forth. So we leave it on the integer. Then employee will have position. Then the position, we have it, leave it on var. So employee will have qualification. So an employee will have date that he joined the company. So this date, I move here. So this should not be an integer because it should be a variable chart, which is a string. The length, also we need to add the length. So what are the lengths? Can say 20. So how many lengths of characters are you expecting? Can say 200. Then somebody name will not be up to 200. So position 200. Then a qualification 200. Dates, let me check dates. You have a date object, a date type. We look at the date type here. You can see date time. All right. So when we are done with all this, we can hit save. So immediately you hit save, you notice what we have here. And when you come here, you see the country database, you see a database table that we have. That table that we created earlier. So like I told you earlier, each of these tables contain a unique information. Are we communicating? So each of these tables contain a unique information. You click on here and it is what it is. So now what you are going to do, are you getting me? What you are going to do will be very different. And this is what we are going to do, right? So the first thing, let's download this. Download this and install in your system. Because the assignment I'm giving you will be based on this. Download this. I also drop the link for everybody to download the Apache. Because without that, this will not work. This will not work. So after you've done downloading that, let me close this and also close this. Good and fine. So what we are going to do now is that let's assume that I've installed it. Now, when you install this, when doing the process of installing, let me show you something. I think I have it here already. Zam. Let me check on the app. Okay, so this is it, right? This is here. Now, let's assume that you've been able to download the Zam. Let me undo this. So let me show you guys something. I need a place to like where I downloaded this. Okay, let me click on this. Okay, open the file. So I wanted to know where is stored. All right, so this will be see that thing.
Hello, right click on it, sir, and go to the
Okay, okay, this is it. This is it here. So let's assume that you've downloaded the stuff. So we come here and right click, and then you click on run, right? So you click on run, yes. So this is our database. So we are using MySQL to create everything that we need. Then I'll click on run. I don't know why it's not okay. It's coming. Then it's okay. Then they will ask you, take you to a wizard step. Next one is all this. So you don't need to do anything here. Leave it. Then here, they are telling you that the folder will be installed here. I feel don't necessarily need to rename this folder. That means when you are done installing this XAMPP successfully, you've done that successfully, you need to start the server. If you don't start the server, nothing is going to work. So let me do that again, install. They are telling me the folder is what? Is empty, right? So telling me folder is empty. Perhaps I have another folder there. Okay, look at the folder I have here. Because I already have something here, that's why it's not working. So what I'm going to do is that yours will not be the same because you don't have any XAMPP. The reason why it's showing like this because I already have a XAMPP in my local system. So when you come to my local system, come to see, you see that I already have it here. I can either delete this to enable me store it. Now I'm not using this other one, I just deleted, but look at the one I'm using here, right? So when you've done downloading that, you install. When you are done installing, you will come to this place, see, then you open. So when you open it, you will see a file like this. Now what you need to do is this is a control panel. This is where when you launch this app, you can click on it, then launch the app. You can quickly send or pin it to your, you can pin it to your browser, right? Or you can quickly send this to your desktop so that whenever you want to open it, it will be very seamless for you. Then what we are going to do here is to open this process. So we right click and then we run. So we are done with this. Wait it to come up. So just be patient with it to come up. Sometimes when it run, it will not come up, but when you come here, you notice that it is here already waiting for you. You can either double click on it or double click on it before it comes up. You can see what I did here. Now, when you run it, it will be that it will be this way. The server is not running. Now, if you come to your browser, if you go to your browser and type local host, definitely it will not work because this server is not running. Now, why are we typing localhost and where is this localhost stored? Now, if you want to see where this localhost is, open their machine, then come to C plus C, then open this man, then you will look for the localhost folder here. So when you come down here and then move down, you look for local hosts, and I feel local host should be here. Um, should have local host here. Okay, let's open this. Um, should have local host folder here. Install blah 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 PHP admin. Should have something like localhost. I feel we should have localhost. Let's check. Local. We should have it here, but I don't know why it's not here. So just call the localhost. We call it. Of course, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for now. So what you need to do, your server needs to be running. You click here and you click here. So immediately it's running. This one turns to green. This one turns to green, and then your server is running. Now, when you come to this place and type localhost and click on it, rename, then it take you to this page. So what you need to do is to access this folder, which is my PHP admin, which is also similar with what we have here. Are you getting me? What we have here. So when you open it, you will see your PHP my admin. So like I told you, like I was explaining earlier, when you click on this employee, you can see that we have a table. We have created another table, right, on employee. So in one database, you can have as much as table you want. So, but if you want to connect your database to an external party, maybe you are building a software, you want to connect your database to your software, that's a way of doing it, which I'm going to explain later. Now, let's say we have employee. Click on that employee. You'll see that that employee does not have any information, right? So you can either add information dynamically, maybe by building another app, connect to your database, and they have this information, or you can add this information manually. So I can come to this database, then I come to insert. Yes, whenever I come to insert, yeah, I have my full name, first name, last name, position. I can say, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll just leave it automatically. So yeah, I have Orisa Macaulay. Then position, software dev. Then qualification, BSc. Then dates, can use current dates. Then you save. Now, immediately you save, it has been created, right? You can see inserted one rule. So that means you have inserted all this information, ID, full name, position, based on all these things. Then when you click on here, you can see that we have all this information here on the database, right? We have all this information on the what? On the database. So now, all this process, somebody will ask, is it all the process I'm going to pass through to design my database? The answer is no. With a simple query, we can create all this information. Just a simple query. We can create all this word information. So you don't necessarily need to do all this, but it's also important that you understand how it works behind the scene. Now, all this information that we fill now should be handled by a different application, which is our back-end programming language to do that. Now, let's say if we are not using any of the object-oriented program, let's say we have a student table, right? Let's create another table here. We can have more of many tables that we need. So we click on the database, then so we need to create another table, right? So here we can say student. Please make sure I don't give space. Student registration. So, and that's the registration. I need student ID, first name. Can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Let's say 9. All right, great. So when you come here, also we have the ID. Give it away. So here we have the student ID. Let's have this as student ID. Then here we have first underscore name. So here we have last underscore name. Here we have DOB. Here we have gender. Here we have email. Here we have phone number. Here we have address. Here we have dates. So the date the person created the account. So let's quickly go and handle it based on their type. Dates. This is address. Is not integer, but is a text. It can be var chart or character type. The phone number can be number or integer. Email can also be a string, any of these. Then gender can be a string as well. Then, so we are good. We can just hit save. A valid length. So, okay, we also need to add the length. The length can say 200. Let me just duplicate this. So you save. So immediately you save, you notice that we have another table here, registration user. So when you click on it, you notice that we have all these fields that are waiting to be completed. Now, this is how database are stored. This is how it look like, and this is how it work behind the scene. But like I told you, we are not going to be going this route, right? Now, let's say if you are not leveraging on ORM, that means this usually the truth is that this is how I work with PHP. So if you are using a PHP, right, and you are not using Laravel rather, you are going to pass this through. This is really a process. This is how I learn, right? For me to be a programmer, I went through this process. This is what I use in learning. Then when I was doing PHP, but I stopped doing PHP, and I now noticed that I've been stressing myself all this while. But this is a route that you need to understand. So we are going to be having assignments on this. Listen, and I repeat, we are going to be having assignment on this. You need to present what you have done. A cohort assignment. After this class, I will show you the assignment, and every cohort member must participate in this assignment. So so this is the database. So table, I explained to you earlier, database identified by columns. So when I say by columns, these are the columns we are actually referring to. Now, for us to achieve all this, um very, very simple, right? So very, very simple. We are going to leveraging on what we call classes. So when in classes, your class would be, okay, let me quickly show you guys something. Okay, I don't know if I can. So let me try. Okay. Oh my God, 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 my God. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so now if we are using ORM, which we're going to be looking at ORM after now. So if you are using ORM, we come to this place. So let's look for the database for user authentication. So for the user registration, it has to be up. Presidential, what is there? Nothing is there. Okay, registration. Model. So in this model now, this is a class. So this serve as a database table. Like I told you, don't need to create all those things to the database. So you don't necessarily need to be creating all those things to the database. Now, this serve as a table, right? As a table. Why every other thing serve as a column? So like I told you, another way of doing this is to leverage on what we call classes. Are you getting me? What we call what? Classes. So classes will create this instantly. Well, with one query. Are you getting me? With one query, all these things will be created as a table. That means don't really need to go through this route, right, to create a database. But at a point, it's also very important to learn to understand how it works. So that if we just run a query and it happens, we say, which can magic with that? But you need to learn how to code this from the first. So we as a low-level programming language, so we're going to start with a low level, those small area. Before we need to understand how the magic happen behind the scene, so that when we see it happening using ORM, it won't look like it's really crazy, right? So we must pass through this process, this robust process of creating database. Very, very important, right? Very, very important. So we need to pass through those process. Like I told you, with just simple of this code, a class here stand for the database name table. Now let me show you. I think we have that here, if I'm not mistaken. So let's look at my user. So remember, the database table here is what? My user, right? And then we have the column of all this information that the user needs to, that is on my user table. So let's look at my user. For instance, my user, my user, my user, my user, my user, my user. Do we see my user here? Let's try this. Let's check this out. Check it 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 out. Okay. There you have a user registration. So let's confirm if it's really the same thing. I doubt this is the model. I doubt. So let's check. Um, we are not seeing this database. It should you have something on my user here. We are only seeing user registration. So user registration. So we are not seeing my user. So my user database table. Okay, let's compare another database. Let's go to dashboard and find another database table that is there. So dashboard is dash, open it, then go to model. So we have cohorts, right? Cohort. So this is where we store all the cohort information. Then we have the payments. So let's grab any of this. If you can see cohort. Okay. Okay. It seems like cohort courses, materials, cohort dashboard. So let's grab this. This is not it. This is not it. Not it. Boom, boom, boom. Cohorts. So these cohorts. So cohort courses. So let's check this cohort. These are payment, not cohort rather. This is payments. So okay, dashboard payment, right? Okay. It seems that the way it's handling it is different. So in the dashboard payment, you can see that we have amount. So let's check if we have the same thing. We have amount here, courses, payment type. So we have amount, courses, and payment type. So you will see that the different one naming here is different. So I use dashboard underscore payment. So why are we having dashboard underscore payment? There should be a reason of doing that. Okay, dashboard underscore payment. So what is the way he's storing it is that you must call this name. Are you getting me? This dashboard folder. and then call the class, which is the table name. That's why when you come here, you see that we have a dashboard. Look at here, you see dashboard that called payment. So that's why we have in the registration, we have registration underscore user. So is it registration underscore user, which means that here we have dashboard registration, which is this. Then when you open that registration, you have the class name, which is database table, as what? As the database. So this is the database table. That's why we're having this user here. So it's calling the app name. So that is it. So with just one command, you can write all this instead of creating it. You can look at the way it stored this password. It's hashed. So there's no way I can see this password because it is actually handles the password differently. You can see the time, the way it stores time. Even it stores in the seconds, stores in milliseconds, stores in stamp. So it stores everything to make sure that there is accuracy on it. So like I was saying, this is a very simple way of creating database, which is this particular method that we use here is called ORM, which I'm going to be explaining further in our class. So let's quickly know if anybody check if anybody have any question, maybe a question you want to ask. We can respond to that question as we move next to the key concept of ORM. No question? People? Okay. All right. All right. Fire them. President, call them up, please. I just have 10 minutes, 5 minutes to respond to questions. Then I'll move into the next agenda of the class. Okay, Chukuma, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Alan.
Yeah,
Please, I want to know whether this XAMPP is the only software that we can use to install this. So, is the only software that has this background that we can use.
To do what?
This software that we can use to connect this database.
It means
Yes, yes, yes.
no, there are other software. You have WAMP. Those database server. So database server software list. So you can see we have a lot of them here. Right.
Okay.
You can see we have a lot of them. No, not database server. No, software server rather.
Server.
Apache. See, Apache database servers. We have quite numbers of them. So I don't know if we have the one called WAMP. So we have WAMP. So this is the WAMP, right?
Okay. Yes, yes.
So this is a WAMP. We have quite numbers of them, but the one I'm very conversant with is XAMPP. Very conversant.
Okay.
So the next class we're going to be talking about what's it called it? The ORM. So ORM, we won't talk about ORM. And then now this is why we need to excuse me. This is why we need to, learn about ORMs because we must learn how to do it automatically. So we are learning it to see a simplest way of doing it instead of going this route, right? Of creating this database. Although this one is a bit technical because it's your first time, you may not understand everything now. But like I told you, those databases have like a field for people to input their information if they are using the application. Let's say we want to build a software, right? You need user information for you to be able to hover around your way, right, on that software. So, and now ORM, who can tell us what is ORM and why do we have ORM? Why ORM? Hello? Any other person? Okay, nobody. Can we move? Should we move on? Should we move on? Nobody's talking to me. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
We can hear you.
I'm asking, should we move on if people are to be silent?
Sir, you can hear you, sir.
So, is he entering? Hmm? Is he entering at all?
No,
Yes, he's entering
no,
very
sir.
well. Very well, he's entering.
He's entering, but we're not seeing the screen. We are not seeing the screen.
You can see it. You can see it. Oh, I can see it from here.
We can hear you. It's your network, okay?
In the way he's supposed to
Okay,
enter.
now, now the ORM, if you do a very simple Google search, ORM, say about object relation mapping, right? Now, um, if you look at Google AI, so Google AI said ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping, which is a programming technique that allows developers to work with database in object-oriented program, which is OOP language like Python, JavaScript, where the data is stored in relational mapping using the word the database management system. So this adds bridge between the two different paradigms using database. This man is just speaking big grammar here. A very simple term here. You won't carry me go and know. All right, let me explain this so most who don't understand. Now, the ORM concepts, right? The key concepts of ORM is that, let me go back to my diagram. So if you recall what I explained earlier about this process, right? Now, this process, which is database management, is what we are doing at the moment. For you to do it, you must understand the interface of this. Even at the point that even though you want to query something, a user from this man, you must write a query from the database select user or select user and this. So it's really a process. Instead of doing it manually the way I'm doing it. So ORM is bridging that constraint for us by leveraging on what we call object-oriented programming that has to do majorly on classes. We're going to learn about classes, methods, and method classes and instances. So we are going to be learning that when we get to Python, right? Now, this object-oriented mapping. So if you read through, you will understand that when interacting with a database using OOP language, you have to perform different operations like creating, updating, reading, and deleting, which is what we call CRUD. Remember, I explained this earlier. Now, data from database by design, you use what we call SQL for performing this operation in relational database. Right now, using SQL for this purpose, isn't necessarily a bad idea. The ORM and the ORM tools help simplify the interaction between the database relationship and different languages, right? Now, what happened here? This is actually a tool that seamlessly help you carry out information to the database without even going through this process of creating it manually, of querying this manually. So the ORM, what it does is that it is here to collect this information and send to this man directly without knowing MySQL or without knowing any of this program. So in order to use MySQL, you don't need to know any of this program if you are using ORM. But if you are not using, if the program is not an object-oriented programming language, that means you need to follow this route by creating this manually, querying it manually. So what ORM is doing is that it's here to solve a problem, to give you a flow, a very simple flow, where you can leverage on. By using their technology, you can hit this route, get anything you want, do anything you want to do, even without opening PHP-MyAdmin. Are we communicating?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now,
Yes, we are.
the object-oriented mapping is a way for computer programs to work with data stored in database by using an object-oriented pattern. So this helps to solve a lot of time you spend in coding. Are we communicating? So in ORM, data tables are created using what we call classes. That's why when you come here, you will see that any of these tables represent a class. That's why it's an object-oriented program. Now, database, on the other hand, store data in a table, right? It stores a data in a table, like student name, like cohort group, like student courses. So these are database table. So what the OIM is doing is that the OIM is building that barrier, the time you spend in programming and as well spending time in writing MySQL. So like I said, you don't necessarily need to know all this MySQL for you to be able to work with a database. That's why the ORM is there to help you simplify the process. So the ORM, like I said, is actually a technique that allows you to query and manipulate data from a database using an object-oriented programming language. Now, object relation mapping creates a visual object representation that can be used to communicate to the database management software. So the ORM is creating a visual representation. These are visual, right? These are visual representation. It's not code. So to create a visual representation, let's say, for example, I have a class. I'm trying to open this back again. My VS Code. I never knew that I shut it down. I'm still using it. So let's say you create a table of my users, right? In that table of users, the ORM, maybe you run a query, which we call migration. In Django, we call it run migration, right? Maybe you run migration, this thing will automatically create without you coming here to create it. That's why we need to learn leverage on ORM. So the ORM is very huge. So we have quite numbers of things to cover in ORM, but I'm not going to do that all. I just want to focus on building, right? Building, and that is the main agenda. The thing is to have the basic, you understand the work of ORM. Why are we using ORM? I've told you why we are using it to help us simplify, to help us simplify the process, to have this process very simple to achieve than going this route of creating everything from the start. So we are going to be building we are going to be building a database for students. Are you getting me? Database for students. So in this database for students, we are not going to be using ORM because we'll get to ORM later. But so for me to do that, I'll come to this draw SQL, right? I'll come to this draw SQL. Then when I'm done creating it, then I'll now move it to my Sorry. Come. Okay, let's go on. So now we want to create a database of, let's say, and the first one, a database for students, right? So a database where students can pay school fees. Are you getting me? Then pay their school fees and as well handle a lot of, check their results, right, and submit projects. So the first one is let me do it for you. Well, all right. So let me close this. So let's go to our to do. So in this to do, so the first database that we are going to be creating, right? So database, the first is um, so a database of a user, right? So student database. So this is a database, right? So in that database, we are going to create the student, which is uh, the student that will have the student information. So the next one, we have the student ID, database for student. Then another database that we're going to create is that will handle the student registration. They call it registration. The next one is student login, right? Then the next one that we're going to create is um, is the one that will have like payments, payment, student payments, school fee. Let's say school fees. Then the next one we are table. The another table we are going to have is um, school fees payments. Then another one is results, right? Results, results. So after that result, we have then project submission. Project submission. That should be submission, right? So now this is what the table that we're going to create, and this is a database. So let's design it before creating. So we click on new. Then I can say we're using SQL. So I can say uh, student data. So hit create. So give it the time. So now it is up. So the first step I'm going to create is student underscore registration. So we enter. So this is the database for student registration. Then the next one we're going to create is login table, student underscore login. So we have this. Then the next one I'm going to create is, where is that word? school fees. School underscore fees. Then another one we are going to create is what? Results and project submission. So remember, this is for design. No, why this other one is for execution now? Whatever you design, move it to that place, and then you use it. It become a rate database. So next is, I think next is project submission. Project submission.
It's result for pre submission.
Okay, results. Okay. Let's see if you are in line. Okay, project submission. Okay. Project submission. Okay.
You
Underscore.
didn't put underscore.
Okay, underscore. All right. So, all right, we've been able to have access to all the table that we need. So let's start adding field on that table. So we'll come to the first student registration. That's a registration you edit. Of course, you have this as an integer, a primary key. All right. Change this my primary key. Okay, it's there. Then oh sorry, merciful God. What am I even doing? Okay. Okay. All right. So next column is we are going to have the student registration. Okay, let's have the student registration should be
Create
let's have
login.
the
Create account.
yeah, to create account. So we're going to be having field on creating that account. Okay, I think I'm back.
First name, last name.
Okay, let's have this. The student will have first underscore name. So we have another one. So chat field or value of them. Last name underscore name. So we have that. Then chat field. Some people
Gender.
DOP. Dates.
Mhm.
Date time. See now, do you know the difference between date and date time? Now, can somebody tell me before we move further? Because I've been calling date and been calling date time.
I think date is just simply the date, while the date time is the time at which
So
the person
don't
created the.
if you are going to run a logic, maybe you are building an app, you want either when the user is making a query, I mean, when the user is seeing list of the product, you want the latest product to be at the top. So let's say if you create a product now, you want those one created recently to be at the top. That means you need to use data. So it has to calculate from millisecond to second. But if you use date, if you create the product today, you create another one now, all the products you create today will be where they are. They will not move to the top until the next day. You grab? So you know all this so that you will not make mistakes. Right? Emails. Email. Of course, we have why did I even add this index?
You went to click index instead of column.
Rubbish. So let me just have my password. So if you want the user to verify their details, oh God, I'm making all this mistake, all this mistake. So if you want the user to verify their details, you can say status or is underscore verified, which is brilliant. All right, so we've been able to have the student information. I think it's left with student username. One the username. So let's look at the student login. The
Oh,
login.
the sex.
Yeah.
The sex.
The what?
The sex.
Gender.
Sex of the student.
Okay, yeah. Which is gender. What? All right. So you can see review the database. So next is login. So let's go to login. All right. So we have the email or student can see student ID. So I want the student that they use student ID to log in. Can see I want them to use an ID, then the password.
The body first column.
Yeah. Is it?
Okay. All good, all good.
So, all right. The next one in our list is school fees.
Sorry, I want to add submit, but it's not necessary.
No,
After
no.
the password.
Submit is front end now. It's not back end.
Oh, okay.
Submit is front end. You're not back end. So, this front end. If you are doing back end, what you are going to use is Figma, right? Is it Figma? You are doing front end.
Figma.
It's Figma. So this is back
Figma.
end. So back end is not more of visual. It's
Yeah.
front end that is visual. So
Correct.
so this is your own Figma now. All right. So let's look at school fees. Where are we? School fees. So this school fees we're having the student name. So we leverage on what we have here. School fees at date when student name, so the next one is also need the date when he made the payment, right?
Sorry, sir. Hi, Chief.
Yeah.
Is it not better you use student ID because some students might have similar names?
Yes.
So I will not conflict.
Yeah, you are right. So use student ID. You are very right. Student ID. Then date. Then the amount.
Yeah.
Which is dua. The other thing is status. Is paid. So to check, we also want to check if the student has paid the payment, if it's verified. You understand? So if the status is paid, that means
Spelling for date is wrong, sir.
Okay, sorry about this. Right. So we can use is paid. If the person have paid, then you can check the result. You understand? So if you have not paid, that means you can't check the result. Okay, so we connect this. This is connected to this. When you log in, you pay school fees, right? Right? Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna talk now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
When you register, you log in. After login, what next?
You pay your
School
fees.
fees.
You pay your school fees now. That's what I'm saying now.
You pay your school fees.
Yes, when you pay your school fees, then you do projects, Abi.
No, result first. Result. You write exam.
I go see. You know how to submit project. Do you get result?
You never submit. You never do project. You want to see results.
Are you
No.
Tinubu person? It is what it is. You are Tinubu's person, that means
No,
all right, let's go.
we-
All right. Um, what are we doing now?
project.
Okay, then what next is a project. So what do we need for the project?
Project topic.
I think this is not complete yet. So are we not going to collect the mode of payment? Is it not necessary? Card, bank transfer, any of this? Okay, no worry. Let's have a student project, right? So in that student project, I miss if we go student. I'm so tired. Student, student ID. Then project title, right?
Yeah.
Title. With this, um, you are good. Oh. Date submission date.
What was supervisor name?
They play. You add all those on your own, okay? Then, if you can have file, you can say upload file. If you can have file, oh, then this we have grade. Yeah. So as we are approving that project, the project will have a grade of the project, abi. Yeah.
The grade
Each
should be in
project,
the result now.
will have grade now, mark now, abi. So you can say,
You
yeah.
thought the grade should be on the result.
No, now. Is it on the result?
Mm-hmm. That's where the student will be scored now.
No. On the back end, if you are approving this project, are you not giving the student a score? Is the grade that is on this project that you add there as relationship? Because when you're approving a project, you just approve it. What can where can you get score? You understand? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the project details. Then I think we've done after certificate, we move to project submission. Okay, let's do this one, the result. Oh my God. I'm so
Sorry, sir. I have a question. Oh.
okay.
So, the student project is it not? Can the project have its own block of information that contains the project ID, so that if a student, any student that goes to that project, the project will be able to see the student's ID for that particular project.
Yes, he has ID now. Project have his own ID. Don't you say ID there?
Yeah, but what I'm seeing here is project submission, not project itself. This is just like to me, it's just like a submission portal.
Okay,
Where the students will be,
this is the
the
front
project
end.
will be submitted.
This is the student portal, not the teacher portal now. That one will be on the teacher portal.
Okay.
Where you can create project, you can even create results. You understand?
Okay.
Can even create results. So when you are building the teacher dashboard, the database, then it has all this information. The teacher will even have a different form for onboarding because it's verified. His student, you can decide to add his student. Teaching teacher reception, that is his teacher or his whatever. So then if you are his teacher, you log in, you will have access to where you create results. So this student so let's do the last one before we just create few of them and call it a day. I'm tired. Okay. Cohort leaders, tell your people to start paying for their certificates because by next week we'll begin driving. Then president, let them also pay their this thing, what's they call it, the money that is supposed to they are took a little token for our honorable president. Result ID. So it's integer, right? So result should have the student ID as well, right? So that you will know student that submitted the project that have the result, right? So then grade. So this grade will be a relationship with project, right? Right? Guy, guys,
Yes, yes, sir.
what did yes, sir? What did I say?
He said that the grade will be a relationship with the project submission.
Yeah, then exam dates. I feel that so I feel that the next class will look about relationship, how you can link their relationship to this. So this is how a very simple database for students registration, checking school fees, paying school fees, and submitting project. So when you are done with this, the next stage is to come here. Are you getting me? Then create the database. Um, student um or school management.
Sorry, sir. I have another question.
Okay.
So, sorry, please, can you go back to um the visual here? Now we have student logins, project submissions, student fees, and results, but we don't have the particular course.
Okay. Yes, the database is not complete now. That's why I said I just filter what I want to design. It all depends on
Okay,
you. When you
okay,
are designing, you design it. But the main thing is to um understand it, what I'm doing. Thank
okay.
God you people are understanding so that you'll be able to create your flow. So I will only due to time constraint, I only create one table. The only table will be create, you can create it an assignment. However, you have assignment we are doing. So a project, we started project too. So let me create. So now I'm going to create table. So before I create table, let me know how many users are we having. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8. Right? So come here and type 8. So it automatically creates 8 columns for us. So next one we also look at we also build next one we build investment app the database. So that will be like an assignment for you guys. The improvement will be on the mainly backend front user, not dashboard. So some code will create database for admin dashboard, database for let's say customer. So customer and admin dashboard. So we'll come to that. However, just have to take it easy. So I will have first I will get um students student underscore registration. All right. So let's go there. So student ID. So this is an ID integer. So I'll add this to 200. We want it, let it be no, not required. Okay. Next is obviously forgot. Where is it? Next is first name, last name, DOP. It's okay. The underscore name, var 200, last name, var this, then DOP, date, boom. What not next again? Let's go back. Email password is verified. Email, boom, password. So what we're going to be a unique listing. So password is going to be this. So we don't want situation. No, password is supposed to come with what we call MD MDSS. Okay, okay, stream. So let's have it as a binary. All right, hash. So but kind of a hash. Okay, okay. Let's have a geometry. So I don't know. I think it should be this. It should be any of this. So combination of those characters. But however, let's have it like that. Okay. The next one uh is verified, Abby. Is it verified that we have here? Yes,
Yes, it's
verified.
verified.
And gender. Right, it is what it is. Is verified. Then gender. So boom, v, boom. So quickly and boogly. Yes, it's verified. Sorry, billion. Forgive my manners. Okay, billion. So let's go and copy. Because password is hash, we'll give password longer this thing. Can give it 400 because the hash will be very long, so that we'll not have a situation where users are trying to log in, they say no password. Display password max. Okay, 250. So let have it at test then. Boom. Okay. So it is created.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
You chose a text for the password. So the text is it going to contain? Will it be able to contain numeric keys and numbers?
Yes. Test mean that it will contain numeric keys and number. That's why I'm choosing test. It contained a lot of things. You understand?
Okay.
So if you count it, I even get up to 400. So this is what we created. Is that what we created? Okay, senior management portal. So this is it, and this is the registration. So assignment time, please. So now come to your dashboard. Go to project. We are defending this project. So what you are required to do is that create a design, implement your design. Then you come here on MySQL and create the database. So this is assignment. It's actually a cohort group assignment. So when you come here, you see um, okay, just hold on. Staff ID. Okay, it's top here. Okay, so this is the assignment, right? So the assignment is staff activities management system and customer management system and inventory management system. So you are to defend this project on this word. So this project will be defend on this is so it can be next week Sunday, right? Is for our defense. Next week Sunday. So first thing is cohort. So when they call you, see this is for code 11. So code 11, you are required to look at what we have here. Staff management, the staff activities management system is a web-based application designed to manage and record staff activities, including salary management, procurement, leave management, meeting schedules, and monthly company report. So this is software we are going to build. Now, in this software, like I explained on the overview, is it has to cover any of the following the features. So this is the purpose of the app. Then when you scroll down here, you see now salary management. Code 11 will design a database for that records and track all salaries for a staff. So you create a database that tracks and records all salaries, then a database that calculates and generates payroll for staff, a database that allows for adjustment and update of onboarding staff, right? Then the same thing move in procurement, leave management. So procurement is code 13, code 14, leave management. Go on. Then when you come here, we have customer management and inventory app. It's a web-based app designed to manage customer relationship, track inventory, process order. The app aims to provide a centralized platform for business to manage the assets. Now, this part of this app is to the overview of the app is to have an inventory so that you know what your customer is buying every day, and then you know how much each customer is spending every day, and know what each customer is buying. What are they buying more on their supermarket, right? This will help you have a kind of an overview of your business, and also treat customers as premium. When you look at this person in a month, this person is spending a 500K in my shop. So that person becomes a VIP. You must know all these things. So code 17 will handle the customer interaction. The customer interact with the business. Purchase, you handle the purchase model, uh, product model, what customer purchase in that entire time, product model and request support. So order management, sales, staff create and manage order, including selection for staff. So these are the each of the code member what they are required to build. So what you are going to do, like I said, you come into MySQL here, create their do your design here, come here and implement. The code leader will present this next week Sunday. A mark will be allocated. Like I told you, if your code is not doing well, you may have issue. So our tasks start now. However, you already have a current project that is running on your dashboard. So it's actually a kind of a long time project. But when we start giving you a project on flowchart, don't complain because we already give you materials to read. So you're required to read and get prepared whenever a project comes in so they can meet up your monthly cut of mark. So that is all for the day. If I have any question, please